and speed. I think people underestimate me. I think I've always got more energy than I should have for the amount of tasks that I'm fulfilling in the day.
I think a lot of people see what you do and they would sit at home and wonder, how does she do it? And I think that's a bit we want to unpick a bit today.
This is the time of life where you power through every single second of each waking day if you want to make the most of it and if you want to get everything that you can out of it. And you just got to suck it up. Life is just a conveyor belt, constantly moving, and mine just happens to have like 500 kids on it.
Stacey Solomon on the Energy Equation podcast. This is a dream for me.
Oh, stop it. I'm excited to be here. Anything you do, Ollie, I want to be a part of it.
Well, we'll add some context to that later. But what I do want to start with is there might be a person listening to this who doesn't know you. I don't know who that person is, but there might be a person.
I'm sure there's plenty of people.
Well, they're in for a treat. If I describe you, do I
God.
describe Stacey Solomon, mother of 5,
Yes.
wife, entrepreneur,
Oh,
TV presenter, designer, musician?
you're really building me up here, Ollie.
What would you describe yourself as?
I don't know. Just Stacey Solomon gives everything a go. Jack of all trades, master of a couple, but not all. I don't know what I am, Ollie, to be honest. People always ask me that. And you know, when you have to fill out forms and you have to put your job description in, I never know what to put in. And I always go for like entertainer.
Entertainer?
I know, like I'm a clown or something. I don't know.
You are more than an entertainer. You do entertain. I think, you know, when I poll my friends, not that I go around asking my friends about various people I know, but if the name Stacey Solomon comes up, there is a genuine sort of visceral reaction of pure joy. And I think if I had to sort of frame, you know, I'm in my mid-40s, but loads of my female friends aren't just following you, they are obsessed by you.
No.
They are.
I feel that I feel like I am obsessed with people too. So maybe that's why people feel that way, especially on social media. I feel like I'm always talking and interacting with my friends. I love to build like big communities and talk to people, and I want to know about how other people are feeling and what they're doing and why they're doing it. I'm so interested in everybody's different journey in life, and I think that's why I just love reaching out to people and just being a part of like these big spaces and communities. And yeah, I guess maybe that's why.
Now, this podcast is about energy.
Yes.
And again, from the minute I've met you and the persona that comes across, you know, you would be described as a high energy person.
Yes.
Do you feel like a high energy person?
I certainly feel like I'm living a high energy life. Whether I'm a high energy person or not, I don't know. I do feel that I've always got some kind of enthusiasm. I've got an enthusiastic disposition, like naturally, and I'm always quite upbeat and happy. And I say that I laugh as I say that because I think it's weird. And I think even my parents thought it was weird. Like, you know, I was just always really like jolly, like overly jolly.
Always.
Always. I don't know why I'm like that. I think I think a lot of people when they meet me in real life are surprised that I'm still jolly and upbeat. But that's just the way I am, the way I work. I think it also comes with its own connotations, and people think it means you're stupid or not really all there or not in the room half of the time. But I am. I'm just really happy about it. Do you know what I mean?
Such an interesting piece. And do you think that's the biggest misconception of you, that being enthusiastic and optimistic means you're not savvy or worldly?
Yeah, but I don't mind it as as misconceptions go. It's quite a good one because I think people underestimate me, which is always easier to impress. Do you know what I mean? If people expect me to be sort of like 0 on an intelligence scale, I only have to do something moderately bright, and people think I'm a genius. So
I think that's
it works
true.
in my
It's a low
favour.
bar. And all fairness, when we were introduced, which was probably 10 years ago, by one of the cleverest people I know, they introduced you as one of the cleverest people they know. And I thought, oh my God, you know, this is serious. But again, that sense of, there's different types of intelligence, but certainly your ability to connect with everyone would be a key trait of yours.
I think it's one of the things that I want to instill in my children the most is that the conventional form of education is great, and some people are good at it, and some people are have natural ability in other areas. But I really want my children to be emotionally intelligent and enjoy their life and enjoy people and And that's something I get a great joy out of, is having connections with other people, and that I care more about than what my Mensa score would be.
Yeah, totally. And how do you work that muscle in kids? There'll be lots of people who want emotionally intelligent kids. Is there anything you do consciously? Is it just being around you?
I'm trying to think now. Emotional blackmail? No. Do you know what? I think it's just giving them the other angle all the time. So they'll come to me and say, oh, so-and-so's this, or this happened, and I hate this, or I don't like that. And it's like, okay, but what about the other side of it? What about how that other person might be feeling? What about if you were in that position? And I think it's always offering them an alternative viewpoint is really important to sort of exercise that muscle, if it were a muscle.
Yeah.
Other than that, just for me, my parenting, and I don't know if it's parenting or neglect, but I I feel that the easiest way for me to parent is to let them be who they're going to be. I think for a long time with Zachary, I had him so young, I felt that I needed to turn him into something. That was my job, was to like mold him into something. And where that may be true to a certain extent, actually, what I realised as he's got older is that they're going to be who they're going to be. And letting them be who they're going to be is the real joy of parenting, and finding out who they are. And they were always going to be that person.
As a parent myself, it's a joyous and heartbreaking revelation. And energy, again, I want to bring it back to, because, I sense energy in abundance. And you say it's there, where does it come from? If we take a sort of helicopter view of you and energy, and we had to rate you out of 100 across physical energy, mental energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, what would you give Stacey?
I think I've always got loads of energy. I think I've always got more energy than I should have for the amount of tasks that I'm fulfilling in the day.
Yeah.
But I feel that you drag it from somewhere. Like, you always get up and you think, oh, I've got to just find that energy, go do it and go finish it. And you look forward to the days when you don't have loads on the to-do list, which isn't often when you've got kids.
When is that day?
I don't know. There are times when, like, Joe, because me and Joe share the childcare between the both of us. So if I'm working, he's at home. If he's working, I'm at home. So there are rare occasions when, like, my older boys go to their dad's houses every other weekend, and my dad's an amazing granddad. So sometimes he'll say, "Can I take all the kids out?" And he'll take the kids out. And there are days when I'm like, I can reset. This is a chance for me to like build up some energy stores. But also, I think we're just honest about the time of life that we're in. This is the time of life where you power through every single second of each waking day if you want to make the most of it, and if you want to get everything that you can out of it. And you just got to suck it up. We are working as hard as we can to try and make sure we fulfill our goals and our children's futures. It's that point in life where you just have to go, go, go. So I think the acceptance is key to the energy, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I think there's an obsession with recovery at the moment, in terms of, I turn up to a gym, there's a recovery suite and there's people jumping in ice baths. I think there's a really powerful message there that there's certain stages in life when you have got to just push.
Recovery is, I think, I think recovery is obviously the most important thing, but it can be really anxiety inducing, and actually it's a real privilege, because recovery, when you're in your 20s to 40s, 50s, and you're in that prime of working as hard as possible, building your career, getting to the top of your career, having kids, having a family, where is recovery? And sometimes the more I worry about recovery, the more stressed I am. So I'm better off letting go of the recovery and just pushing through and saying, sorry, Stace, but you're not recovering this week. You'll recover next week. Get over it. That such is life. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And I think there's a real truth to that. I think there's a counterpoint to that, which is part of the reason we got you to wear this funky monitor for 3 days.
I'm not excited about the results.
And we'll share those results in terms of how much recovery, in terms of pure physical recovery, there is in your life. Just a quick one. If you're enjoying the Energy Equation, please do like and follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you leave us a review, we'll love you forever. Thanks so much. I'm still going to hold you to a score. You've got to give yourself a score out of 100.
Like 90?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm just going to keep that in a frame. So again, that means there's 10
Ask me
more.
tomorrow when I get up at 5 a.m. Well, 0.
And clearly a lot of this is about how you do it. I think a lot of people see what you do, and they see the expression of your talents into TV programs, into Instagram into developing, clothing ranges for big brands, and they would sit at home and wonder, how does she do it? And I think that's a bit we want to unpick a bit today.
I couldn't sit here and say I do it all on my own, because I don't. I have a huge family. I'm one of 7 siblings. My mum and dad are incredible. Joe comes from a family where they're really helpful as well. And without the village, and I'm not joking, it's a full village.
Yeah.
Without the village, we couldn't do what we do. I couldn't take the opportunities that I've taken, because I wouldn't have anyone to take care of the kids. And me and Joe always wanted it to be, within our family as much as we possibly could. And I think anyone who's looking, thinking, how does he do it? How does she do it? Should never think that. Just worry about how you're going to do it, because everyone's circumstances are different. Everyone's life is different. We have the privilege of family and help and people who will step in and go, do you want us to do this? Do you want us to help with that? That's an absolute privilege. And we wouldn't be able to do that without that. I've got friends, who have got kids and no family around them and no help, and they're working jobs, and the childcare costs more than the job that they're earning, but they need to go out for their own sanity, and people are just trying to make ends meet and get through the breadline, and my situation isn't applicable to everybody else's situation. I'm in a really privileged position, I feel, so that's how I think I have the privilege of help, friends, family. I also have the privilege of less financial worries than most people because of my job, so all of that kind of is on my side. And I think I wouldn't ever want anyone to look at me and be like, oh, how can I achieve all of those things? Well, if you had my mum, my dad, my sister, and everybody else helping you in between, you would. Do you know what I mean?
Beautifully put. And from a lifestyle point of view, because I want to get into that, you have a lifestyle that allows you to keep doing these things. We hope. We're going to find out in a minute. So in a minute, we're going to look at how you cope with stress. We're going to look at how well your sleep recovers you. We're going to look at your fitness level, and more. So we're going to find out some of these. And if we take a sort of step back and say, let's look at some of those things in detail, because I think people would be really interested in what you do.
I'm interested.
Well, I want to start with, actually, we've seen a lot more content around fitness recently from you.
Yes.
And some really exciting fitness work. So what's your relationship with fitness, and what does that look like on a weekly basis?
I've always, since I was a kid, been sporty, like really enjoyed sports. I'm very competitive. I love a competitive game. But I had 3 children in 4 years. So after I had my last little girl, I just thought, that's it. I'm definitely not having any more. Honestly, my womb cannot cope. So I'm going to stop, and I want to get back into the things that make me feel good, and I want to feel athletic again, because I did feel really unhealthy. Not unhealthy in the sense of I wasn't particularly like abusing my body. I just felt lethargic, and I just felt like I could feel better if I just got a bit of exercise in. So my sister's she's a master trainer at Barry's Boot Camp. So she's been waiting for me to get on this fitness journey for so long. And as soon as I said it, she was like, right, that's it. We're going for it. This is it. You're gonna fall back in love with it. And I didn't believe her, and I'll be honest with you, for the first 3 months, I just thought, why? Why would anyone do this to themselves? Why would anyone put them through this, a horrible feeling? But now I love running. That's so weird.
That alone is such an interesting message. And because you physically didn't enjoy exercise.
Not at all.
And now, is the feeling during exercise changed?
No, I'd say the feeling during exercise is I'm going to die.
Excellent.
Still. But it's the feeling afterwards. I feel like I just feel stronger, for one, which makes me feel great. I'm picking up all of my kids all of the time, even just getting them in and out of the car seat, getting the pram out the boot, all of that stuff is effort. After 6 months of training, I feel like it's so much less effort to do those things, and playing with them when they want you to pick them up and throw them around and jump them up. Just having the strength to do it, and to do it with ease, feels so good. And I think that's what really feeds into me wanting to go back to the gym the next day, is how I feel afterwards, and how I feel after doing it for a long time.
That's a beautiful functional example. I think that ability to hold a kid and to move things in and out without help is crucial. And is it mostly strength training for those people who sort of love the detail? Cardio, strength, flexibility?
I do a bit of everything. So with my sister, we do Barry's a couple of times a week, which is more high intensity interval training, which is more cardio for me. I pick up smaller weights and I just do it for the cardio.
Yep.
And then at least 3 times a week we try and do some kind of weight training. Because I remember you said to me, once you hit 35, all your muscle mass depletes and you're not going to be able to do anything. So start weight training. I was like, okay. None of this is for what I look like or, anything like that. It's all I'm so conscious that I want to grow old with my kids and be able to still do the same stuff and be fun with them and run after them. I want to be functional. I want to feel I just want to feel good. And also mum has like different problems and stuff with her mobility. So I don't want to end up like her, but I want to do the absolute most that I can to protect myself as I get older.
Beautiful examples. And I think that delaying of aging is a crucial piece. Being functional is a crucial piece. Did you post your last daughter have to do any sort of particular postnatal work or
No, I thought, every child I'd just have like a more ruined postnatal journey, but apparently I think my muscles have got stronger and stronger after each child. I've been absolutely fine. I can still go on a trampoline without wetting myself. I've never had issues there. I might have them as I get older, but I definitely I also am one of them weirdos who does the pelvic floors all the time. Like now you've mentioned it, I'm sitting here thinking, oh yeah, I better do it. I better do a pelvic floor.
And it's not that weird. It might be weird.
So weird, but I'm obsessed with it. Like I don't want to wet myself when I laugh. Do you know what I mean? And when I've been pregnant, at the end of pregnancies, I definitely have that feeling that I'm out of control. Exactly. So I've always been really weird. And I had Zachary when I was 17, and I remember the nurse saying it to me that, if you don't do your pelvic floors, everything will just go south. And that scared me as a 17-year-old. I thought, I don't want to be wetting myself like when I laugh at 17. So it really ingrained in my head. And yes, I'll be washing up and I'll be like, Joe, like, are you all right, Joe? Joe will be like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, just do pelvic floors.
So have you done them since 17?
Always, since 17.
That's such a great example.
But really I had a baby at 17. No one has a baby at 17, do they?
No, well, people do, but they probably don't have the discipline to do the pelvic floor work. It's a crucial piece.
I don't think it's discipline. I think it's education. I think like when that midwife who said to me, this is what happens if you don't do pelvic floors, gave me great advice. Yeah. And some people don't get that same advice, especially not 15 years ago. So I think I was lucky. I think I had really good advice. And I'm also a really paranoid person, as you know. So good advice plus paranoia equals life change.
Compliance. Paranoia can be used to your benefit. You're not paranoid. So I think, within that's a beautiful regime. And you feel it's working? So it's bringing...
Yeah, well, we did my body fat, didn't we?
We did.
We did my body fat.
It's up to you to share that.
Oh, is it? Sorry.
Well,
we did that years ago, just as part of our general checkup. And it was, what was I?
About 31%.
31. And you said, oh...
It was 31, but your weight was quite light.
Yes.
So what we had was that you didn't have too much fat, but you were a little bit lacking in muscle.
Yes.
And we've always got that eye on, well, what will that mean from not just how many calories I burn, but also regulation of hormones and regulating bone. And so at that point, but equally, there were several pregnancies still to come at that point.
3 pregnancies later. And a bit of a gym workout.
And now you're in.
And I'm 26.
26% body fat, which is beautiful. So again, for females, we love it, below 31, 32%. So to be 26% is such a clear reference point that you've been weight training, and you've built muscle and you've lost a little body fat. And as you say, that's not about the aesthetic. So it's going to give you a score.
Wait, before we get these results, can I, disclaimer, I had to wear this while Joe got called. I mean, it sounds like he's some kind of hero. He's not. He got called on a filming job in Guatemala. And so I was alone with the kids, couldn't go to the gym, couldn't work. This is probably the most high stress environment 3 days of my life.
Disclaimer noted, and it will only measure the days it measures. So I think, you flagged this to me. We had a 3-day window. So to get in your schedule, to get any 3-day window is a miracle. But Joe being in Guatemala is in the footnotes.
Good.
That's what's in there. Yeah. It's a caveat.
Lone
Such a legal caveat. So the score system, it's going to score you out of 100. And it's going to score based on how you're coping with stress reactions. So how long you're spending ready for some kind of ominous threat and how long you're truly switched off and restoring energy. It's going to look separately at sleep, and it's going to look at your physical activity. Well, let's start with the overall score. So your overall score out of 100 was 47.
It's not terrible.
It's far from terrible.
I'm nearly halfway.
You're so close. But again, interesting 3 days. So where's that coming from? So again, across the different areas, we've scored the stress, we've scored the sleep, we've scored the fitness. Fitness is a really strong area. So we calculate something called VO2 max, which is a marker of how cardiovascularly fit you are. It's not a score out of 100 because it won't sound great if I say that, but it's a score of how many milliliters of oxygen each kilogram of your body can eat in a minute. And I would love a score above 32. If I was being really ambitious, I'd love a score above 40. If you're doing well with your fitness, you're above 45. And Stacey, you're 48.
No, excuse me. That's great. It's working.
It's really working.
The gym is working. So what does that mean?
So it means that your body has got a really strong cardiovascular system. In fact, this parameter, this figure, is now being used as maybe the best predictor of how long people will live.
Oh, don't tell me that, Ollie. I'll walk straight out the door and have anxiety.
Well,
How long have I
take the
got?
positive. Well, from this result, exponential, we're going. This is a great
100?
result. I can't give you a number. I'll be sued. But principally, what it's saying is you've got a fantastic ability to convert oxygen into energy. Imagine this. There's one simple thing you could add to your daily routine that could help you sleep better, feel less anxious, and even support your hormone balance, all without having to change too much else in your life. That sounds too good to be true, right? Well, here's the kicker. 75% of us are missing out on it. Not because it's rare, but because it's incredibly difficult to get enough of this from our diet alone. It's something our bodies can't store long term, which means we need to replenish it every single day. The foods that used to give us plenty, leafy greens, seeds, whole grains, they just don't have the same levels in them anymore. So who is this mystery hero? It's magnesium. And here's the best part. It's really easy to add it to your routine through a quality supplement, just once a day. Having researched this supplement for years, I personally use Pure Sports Ultra Magnesium. Across their supplement range, every batch is tested, so you can trust that it's clean, simple, and extremely effective. So I highly recommend them. For 10% off, you can use the exclusive Energy Equation discount on their site, puresport.co. Use the code EE10 at checkout.
Well, you keep asking me, where's your energy coming from? From the ability to make oxygen into energy. Maybe we could coin this, my ability to do that, and make it for other people, can we?
Well, dare we say, are we promoting physical activity? Would we be so
Inject
innovative?
people with my blood cells.
Well, people are trying to work out different ways of doing this in easy ways. What you are very clearly explaining is that there aren't easy ways to do this. You have regularly created a demand into your body that's gone, I can't quite climb that hill on that treadmill. I can't quite run at that interval on the Barry's class. And then your body has decided to make an increased capability to deliver oxygen to solve that problem. So you've just adapted to continually giving your body the right type of exercise.
So do you think that score is directly correlated with physical exercise?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a small genetic component
So you
to it.
can make it better and better.
You can keep getting better. Yeah,
Wow.
and that will get better at every age and every stage and every age if you continually give your body something it can't quite do. So lots of people go, I'm fit because I walk my dog, etc. That will be activity. It's a different animal, right? Activity is just doing the thing you can already do. When you get out of breath for those bursts, be that 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, etc., you give your body a challenge it couldn't meet. And then it's unlike any other machine. It increases its capacity to meet that same challenge better next time.
Very neat.
So clever.
What's your score?
It's actually I haven't done it in a while, but my last score is just a tiny bit above yours. Like tiny, 52. No one's asked me that.
Oh, challenge.
But and that
This
would
time
be,
next year.
oh my God,
60.
I could meet you on the way down. And like anything, the question is where it's going. So what is expected as we age. Same with the muscle and body fat thing, is everything to get slightly worse year on year.
It's depressing, isn't it?
It is, but that's not the way it has to be. You can get fitter and more muscle at every stage. Even if you're 100, you can lay down more muscle tissue. So the crux of that is you're super fit. Like super fit. That's really,
Okay.
that classifies as very good against the age-related chapters. So you're moving towards athletic levels with that fitness. So you're working hard. It's brilliant.
I'm working so hard.
Brilliant. So that's in place. Diet.
Talk to me. I just had a sandwich. It was a
very-
halloumi wrap.
Great. And diet, do you have a strategy with it? Is it, no? But you eat.
I just try and eat. I just try and make choices that everyone makes, I guess. Like, should I go McDonald's on the way home? Probably not. Do I sometimes? Yes. I think it's balance for me. And I think anywhere where I tell myself I can't ever have that is a real trigger for me. I don't want to restrict myself. I don't want to tell myself I can't have anything. So I just do things that are manageable. I make homemade dinners, but I don't think about what carbs I'm having, what fat I'm having. I don't think about any of that stuff. I've got 5 kids. I don't have time for that. But two, I think that if ever in my life I have tried to restrict myself in terms of diet or really like be rigid, it's actually only made me unhappy. So I just try and eat the things I like eating and cook as much as possible. That's the key for me, is if I can eat cooked food that's not processed, then I'm happy. I don't care what it is. It can be all the potatoes, all the fat, all the everything, as long as like I know I've cooked it or we've cooked it at home.
And do you have a love of food?
I love food so much. I love food. I love eating. I love making food. I really like food. I also think it's each to their own. Like for some people, having a regime and having a plan, meal planners, prep, that works for them. And I think that sometimes we're so worried about what is so and so doing, what is this person doing, what is that person doing, when actually what works for you, that's what you should be doing. If it works for you, then great. Don't worry about anyone else. Everyone's body's different. Everyone manages things differently. Everyone's lifestyle's different. Everyone's work hours are different. So just do what you can.
Totally agree. And in terms of time to eat, do you get time to eat?
Yeah, like just now, I came in, sat and had some of my sandwich. Yeah, I don't love breakfast that much. I don't like eating in the morning. It makes me feel a bit queasy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think, I can't be bothered to eat. But then I get really hungry throughout the whole day and I'll just eat. So I've had a bit of my sandwich and then I'll have a bit more in a minute. Then I'll keep eating it all the way home.
Would you ever sit? Do you ever get to sit and eat?
We always sit for dinner. If we're home for dinner, we always sit round the table. But again, I'll do the same thing. I'll eat my dinner, then I'll have another snack after dinner. Like I do like to keep eating all the time. When I've started, it's like a non-stop trail of eating, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Lunchtime and 7 p.m. I just don't stop.
And any energy dips?
I think my energy dips are psychological. So when I know that there's a period of time, like when the kids go to bed, if I know that I'm about to take them to bed, then I'll go up and my body starts to shut down as well. So I'll often find myself falling asleep as I'm putting them to bed, or just as I've put them to bed, I'll lay on the sofa for like me time, and 5 minutes later I'm like gone.
Which would be what sort of time?
9,
Okay.
10.
Yeah. That's normal.
No, I'm such a loser.
It's not a loser. There'll be a lot of people saying, thank God.
I'm waiting
I
for
wanna
there
go
to
to bed
be
at
a
9.
time. I'm waiting for there to be a question that makes me sound cooler. But there aren't any.
Everyone.
I'm very sad.
9 is the new 11, I promise you. There's people out here going, at last.
That's what 30 to 40-year-olds tell themselves.
Everyone wants to go to bed at 9. They're just pretending. And from a sleep point of view, is sleep a foundation of you having good energy?
I think
pretty
it must be.
That's very impressive. Always been the case?
I've always been able to fall asleep anywhere, weirdly.
Not weird, it's great.
And my sister, right? We went on a trip. It was a really incredible trip where we got to, if it was for charity, it was amazing. Anyway, it was a 11-hour flight and she gets anxious flying. So I said, don't worry, you'll be with me, everything will be fine. And I'm not joking. We got on the flight and when we landed, I woke up. So I fell asleep immediately as soon as I got on the flight. I woke up, we'd landed, she'd had to have people help her on the plane. She'd had an anxiety, sit down with the stewardesses had been really helpful to her. She nearly passed out. But the whole flight, I was like, and she was like, I am never flying with you again. You didn't wake up for not even for one toilet break. I was like, oh, sorry.
Stress management. How'd you buffer stress?
Until I wore that stupid monitor you made me wear, I always thought I was never stressed. Like I don't ever feel stressed. Nothing stresses me out unless it's someone in trouble, or if my children were in trouble, or if I was in trouble. Outside of that, I'm kind of a bit numb. And if anything happens, I'm like, but are you alive? Are you healthy? Are you well? Then fine. Jobs, money, everything else can come and go as long as you're safe. So I always thought I was really middle of the road, not stressed at all. But I'll put your money on and it's red immediately. I was like, oh God.
Doesn't mean stress. I think that's such an interesting perspective. It's such a strength because you say numb, but isn't it? It's not so much numb. It's more perspective.
Yeah, I guess unless it's the absolute worst, is it really that bad? Is my mindset, I suppose.
Yeah, because
That sounds really horrible, but I don't know if that makes people's everyday problems seem like they're not really a problem, which they are. But just to me, I don't. I'm a catastrophizer. So unless it's the absolute worst, I'm like, thank God for that. You know?
I think there'll be psychologists all over the place going, brilliant. And again, that ability to take small things, turn them into big things is a great challenge. There's many quotes that say lots of people lived a highly stressful life worrying about the things that never happened.
Oh, well, that is also me. Can I be two different people?
You can.
That is also me. I definitely have the most intrusive thoughts that I have to work out how to put them away. I think it's a mum thing though, because I speak to my other mum friends and they do it as well. That I have the weirdest, craziest thoughts. And yeah, so I am also that person who worries about things that are never going to happen.
But at a low level.
Yes, low level. And I talk to people about it because sometimes I think, am I crazy? So I just constantly ask other people, and there are other people out there like me. So
There's lots of people. In fact, lots of people are constantly ready for something to go wrong.
yeah.
And it's a great challenge. There's a phrase now called an anxiogenic environment, which means everything is telling us to worry about something that may happen.
Yeah.
24-hour news,
Yeah, I can't
constant
watch the
stream.
news.
No, and I think, so a lot of people will be feeling that in the sense of there's lots that they're worried about that maybe won't affect them in any way whatsoever.
I think there's also something to be said about it being in your DNA and it being hereditary. Like I remember my nana, and every time I went to her house, she'd be like, "Put a coat on, you're gonna catch a cold. Have you eaten?" And I was like, "Oh, Nana, are you ever on the out breath?" She's always on the in breath. Like she was always just so panicked. And I think it's because for years and years, for years and years, she was Polish Jewish, and her husband was from Burma, and they'd both fled the country, and I think their parents had fled, and their parents and their parents, and I think it was the years of sort of being pushed out of somewhere and sent over here and told you don't belong here, and the worry that you had to just up and leave or something might happen to you has definitely come down in the generations. I think it's in my DNA.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
When I get to the stress and recovery score, it's not quite as positive a picture. In fact, what I'm going to do is show you a day in the life of Stacey. So on the screen there is a timeline of your day.
I don't feel this stress though.
Well,
Maybe I had it in the wrong place.
You definitely had it in the right place. It's collected a perfectly legitimate signal. Now, this doesn't mean you're stressed, right? That's a really important phrase because I think, as you've rightly described, your perspective of life, you don't, experience high stress levels because you have incredible filters, you have incredible buffers, you have a great emotional support network, you've got a great physical support network. What this shows is that there's no recovery in your day, right? And that means at no point from when you woke up to when you went to sleep did your body go, there's nothing for me to be worrying about. There's nothing I need to be ready for.
Does anyone have recovery during the day?
It's a good question. People do, but no one will have it without conscious effort to put it in.
I think that me personally, there is no point during the day that I can't be on it.
When we lay out the beginning of this and we talk about 5 kids, wife, daughter, entrepreneur, there's so many inputs that it's not a surprise that there's no physiological downtime in your day. That all being said, your body doesn't care what you do. It knows what it gets and what it doesn't get. And over the course of each day, you don't recoup that much energy. Now, why that's not a catastrophe is if I scroll up here, you'll see that there is lots of green on your graph, but it comes
When I sleep.
when you sleep.
At least I sleep, because I was thinking, I wonder if I actually sleep or not. So I'm glad I sleep.
You sleep beautifully. So your sleep, despite, that sleep is restorative. So your sleep is the foundation of you having enough physical energy to wake up the next day. Now, what I've done here is turn the 3 days you wore the monitor into basically like a current account with spending energy being red and recouping energy being green. So spending versus saving. And you'll see over the course of the 3 days, if we started off here, we end
I'm in
up...
the overdrafts.
You're in the overdraft. Now, your point again, most people are in the overdraft. The question is how long I can be in the overdraft before the debt gets called in. And for many people, that's years. Right? This is not something you have to. The human body's not designed to balance the books. You'll know in those early months, when the baby's been born, this couldn't be balanced. People in a war zone, this cannot be balanced. People in a famine, this can't be balanced. So we are designed to deal with a period of imbalanced output versus input. But the question is, if we understand that, what can we do to decrease its impact on us? So sleep is a rock star. What makes you sleep good? Do you have a wind down regime?
No, I think I'm just so tired.
That's such a good point.
That I hit a wall and just go bam, and that's it. And I genuinely think it is that, because I wake up super early. I like to wake up early. I hate to wake up late. It makes me feel awful. And by the time I've woke up at 5 a.m., by 9 p.m., I'm so tired.
Yeah. Which is great.
So I guess I don't think too much about sleep. Sleep tells me what I'm doing. I don't tell the sleep. It kind of just takes over my body. I just immediately get tired and fall asleep.
Which is amazing. In fact, that's really interesting, the fact that fatigue is a really important part of sleep. And the day you sleep best was the day you're most active. So if I look down through the days, the day when you really had quite a lot of physical activity.
Yeah.
And again, we can see you picking up children. We can see throughout the course of every day, you are low level, active all day. In fact, on this day, 3 hours, 11 minutes of activity on that day.
What, constant?
Like interspersed through the course of the day. So things that contributed to your health from a physical activity point of view. And that was the day you didn't go to the gym.
Yeah.
So you are, and again, you're picking up children, you're moving things. So that level of activity, that day when you had that 3 hours, you went straight into quality sleep, and the depth of that sleep was way better. And that builds up as what we call sleep pressure. So lots of people don't have enough physical activity or build enough fatigue to go to quality sleep. That's not your issue. Albeit, the 2 nights when you were less active, your sleep was slightly delayed in going into recovery.
Yes.
Do you feel that if you don't move?
I actually feel that the day that I went to sleep really early was because my kids went to sleep really early. And the day, I think it was a Sunday and a Monday, or a Saturday and a Sunday, I can't remember. The later 2 days, my kids just wouldn't go to sleep.
Well, that's interesting.
So then it takes me a while longer to
decompress.
Feel that I'm going to go to sleep. Because once I see they're tired, it's almost like I can tell myself, you can be tired now. Because your kids are tired. It's the end of the day. They're going to go to bed. And then this is your time, mama. You're going to get to sleep. So my brain starts winding down from that point. But when they're crazy and hyper, you have those days where they just don't go to sleep. When they're crazy and hyper and running around late at night, I feel that my brain switches back into, you're back in daytime mode.
So this marks the highest period of stress. So the highest 15 minutes of stress over the day. So on the third day, that was at 10:15.
Yeah, that'll be bedtime.
Yeah.
That will be
and again, there's that great example that any sort of emotional stress, that might be the children aren't going to sleep, does create a physical reaction.
Yeah.
And the repercussion of that action is that day you went to sleep, but you didn't actually go into recovery for 90 minutes after the point where you'd fallen asleep.
Yeah, because I was stressed.
Because you're holding, and stress is always the wrong word, because people...
But then I do feel stressed. So during the day, I never feel stressed. But if I get to a point like the nighttime when I know that I need to sleep, and I knew that day Joe was coming back from Guatemala, I was going straight back to work to Manchester. So I knew the next day I had to be even more on it to go back to work and do the handover. Then not being able to get the kids to sleep stresses me out, because I'm already anticipating the next day and how I'm going to deal with that next day.
Absolutely.
And that's where I might, at night, that is the only time at night that I might get stressed. Whereas when Joe's home, this is why this experiment isn't always like this.
It's a technical word.
When Joe's home, I can be like, Joe, I've got to go. I've got to go to bed. It's 9 o'clock and I've got to leave at 6 a.m. Whereas, because I knew he wasn't there and I was doing the night feeds and then I was going straight back to work and he was coming back, I think I was just like, oh.
It's a great example. And again, it's one where the less we control things, the more likely we are to get that exaggerated stress reaction. So Joe going away was definitely meant you didn't have as much control.
The control freak in me lost it. Lost it.
And we can see it. Now, if that does happen, do you have ways of pulling yourself out of that state? Would it be a bit of self-care, a bit of pampering?
I honestly think the best thing for me is to just lay down and go to sleep. Even though it took me 90 minutes to get to sleep, it would have took me longer to run a bath, put the oils in, do all that shit, and then try and go to sleep after. I feel like sleep is the best present to myself. But if I've got time, I do love a bath. I do love a bubble bath, and I'll go all out, Ollie. I'll put like petals in it, bath salts. I call it a thrush bath because you're almost guaranteed to get brushed the next day. Like that is dream case scenario. But it just don't happen. I don't really get those windows anymore. Before I had Rex, I did have moments where I was like, oh, I can have a nice bubble bath. Oh, I can do this. But now there's no gaps. No one's having a bath. You're lucky if you wash your important bits and go to work. Like, that is it.
And that, again, the body's designed to have periods where that is not possible.
Well, it has to, because it gives us kids.
It does give us.
So if you're going to give us kids and make us these children that are totally dependent on us, you have to give us the ability to not sleep for 4 years.
It does. And the question is, at some point, that needs to bounce back. But a bath can be an unbelievable intervention to put some green on the map. It works incredibly well.
I know, but who's going to when?
Well, when the kids are grown up, you can look forward to it. Just hang on.
Just 4 more years, Stacey, you'll get back in the bath.
I suppose the question there is, you start this and we say you're a 9 out of 10 energy-wise, right? So
yeah,
we're not going to let we don't let the tail wag the dog. You've got enough energy to do all those different things that you're doing. If we were sat here and you're saying I'm 3 out of 10, and then we got to go, right, how do we get a bath midway through the day, and not a bath, but how do we get something that puts recovery in? There's lots of theories around most of our energy comes from non-physical sources. So emotional energy, the emotional energy that you get from your kids, from that process of being a mum, from being involved in the ecosystem of your family. And so we're designed to work in ways that we don't fully understand. So we're not going to get too excited about the lack of green on that graph, because you're 9 out of 10 and you're making conscious choices. I think there's an interesting point in the fact that during there, I can't see where you're sitting down for lunch. So the nervous system involved in recovery is also the one involved in digestion.
I don't sit down.
No kidding.
No, I don't sit down.
And that, so if I was saying, look, you can't have a bath every day, but it would be interesting to see if you could chew your food. And I'm throwing that in as a suggestion.
It's because you're always... So if you're at home, you're feeding someone else, and then you're like eating their food as you're feeding them. And there's 2 high chairs and one's swinging on his chair, and you're like, shut up, stop, let me have a bit. I'll eat whatever's left. And that's all life is just a conveyor belt, constantly moving, and mine just happens to have like 500 kids on it.
No one in the world can find time in your schedule. It's impossible. If I was making one observation,
I'll sit down more.
It would be that you...
Look at me now.
Yeah,
how long have I been sat in this?
This is great.
I bet it'd still all be red.
You'd be green you'd be pure green here. Pure, guarantee it.
Stress of this conversation.
One of the when you chew, when you focus on one sense at a time, that puts green on the graph. And a lot of that is self-care, self-compassion. I would say you're absolutely right to the time cost of that versus the demand, but also the pleasure of the other things doesn't weigh up at the moment. So there is no such thing as a really healthy or unhealthy behavior. There's just the context in which it finds itself. And the blend is you're 9 out of 10, you're fueling so many different projects whilst pouring 100% into 5 children and Joe and a million other family members. So you are high energy, despite the fact that you haven't got the perfect result on the graph.
What's your result?
So this is an area of strength for me, because there's lots of things that are areas of
chilled.
I have a similar perspective, and we only create the stresses that we imagine. There's very few real stresses. There's heat, there's cold, there's noise. Everything else is our perception.
Your babies are older now, though, too.
They are older now,
so it's that joy of when they get to 10, you get to be with them, not for them.
That's a beautifully put phrase.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that transition, it's a misconstrued sentence, but the idea that anxiety has its roots in living in the future, depression has some correlation with ruminating on the past. Lots of people's past is fantastic, but overthinking things you can't control, and happiness is the present. It's too simplistic to almost say it, but one thing that I have, and I think we both have, is the ability to be in the present. Certain things you catastrophize, but not everything. And that, again, shows up as the ability to be in the now isn't too bad. And the energy in the now is 9 out of 10. And I think we should take that all day long. So to summarise, Stacey.
Go on.
Super fit, sleeping like a rock star, juggling a million different projects. Don't switch off brilliantly during the day, but who in God's name would?
Who does?
And doing incredibly well. So you should be jolly pleased that you radiate as much energy off the camera as you do on the camera.
Oh,
It's been a real pleasure to have you on today.
oh, I love you, Ollie.
Oh, you're a legend. Much love here.
Thanks so much for watching The Energy Equation. We love having you on this journey with us. And stay tuned because we've got some iconic guests coming up. In fact, here's a sneak peek of who's coming on the show.
I'm very energetic about life and what the day can bring me.
You're finding a bit more purpose in giving other people energy.
100%, yeah. To eat 8 to 10,000 calories, it's hard to do.
I used to think of energy as being coffee. I used to think of energy as being fitness. My definition of energy has changed.
I am genuinely really excited to talk to you today.
So let me show you those results.